Welcome back, everyone, and happy 4th of July. I want to start this video off by saying what a beautiful country that we live in, and I could not be more happy that I was spawned in the greatest country in the world. What are the chances of that, man? I think I saw something online, and I'll throw a screenshot here, that you have a 3% chance of being born in the United States. That is wild. So, my ask to y'all watching is to not get all caught up in all this BS politics and don't get on the bandwagon of hating this country because you could be in a far worse situation. Like, I just got back from a beautiful camping trip in the mountains and just thought about how grateful I am to be in this country and how grateful I am for all the troops that fight to defend the liberties and freedom. So, before I get into this video, happy 4th, everyone, again, and take the time to be extra thankful for this weekend. So, today we're going to talk about the topic of why I think every engineer has the ability to become a millionaire, and let me explain why. I was a young buck once, sitting in a college engineering classroom about 4.5 years ago, having all those thoughts that crossed my mind. And after getting wrecked on some tough exams, I sat around wondering if I had made one of the biggest mistakes in my life going into engineering. The workload was brutal, to say the least, and I was questioning whether I even had the brain capacity to make it all the way through to graduation. But now, though, I can confidently say that it was one of the best investments I ever made in myself. Because my engineering degree gave me a high income skill right off the bat once I graduated college. It taught me how to think through difficult problems that all of us are going to experience in our career, no matter what industry that we're in. And engineering surrounded me with really ambitious and highly driven people. It opened up so many doors that simply would not have existed otherwise. At 27 years old, my engineering career was the catalyst to my whole investing journey because I landed almost a six-figure job right out of college. And that income and discipline, the discipline which I had gained grinding out all those engineering classes for 4 years, all that has allowed me to build an investment portfolio of over $300,000, like I just covered in my last video. When I look ahead over the next 20 or 30 years, I believe my engineering career will make me a millionaire quicker than many other professions would have. I'm going to explain why I believe engineering is still one of the best career paths you can choose today, and why engineering changes the way you think about your life after graduation. I also want to talk about the mindset that engineering develops that just carries into every part of your life, and also why I believe the demand for engineers is only going to become more valuable as technology continues to reshape our world. If you're currently studying engineering or thinking of becoming an engineer, I hope this video gives you some perspective from someone who's living it right now. And that'll lead me into my first reason why I think engineering is one of the best career paths you can take, because it is simply just the best return on investment that you can get from a major in college. Argue with a wall there. Tuition has gotten so expensive, student loans have completely gotten out of hand for most people, and there are definitely degrees out there that just don't make financial sense anymore. I don't think anyone is really going to argue against that, but engineering just has continued to be a workhorse of a degree and has continued to be one of those exceptions where if you can make it through the grueling program and the grueling classwork, the payoff on the other side is still incredibly strong. I still remember graduating and landing my first engineering job, making, again, just under six figs, but I was a 22-year-old kid. That kind of money feels so surreal because just a few months before that, I was living like every other college kid, trying to make every dollar go as far as I can. And again, just wondering if all those years of grinding through homework assignments and exams were actually going to be worth it. All of a sudden, I snapped my fingers and I'm sitting in a career where I wasn't just making enough to pay the bills. I had enough money left over every single month to start investing, to start maxing out my retirement accounts, to build an emergency fund, and actually think about my future instead of just trying to survive until the next paycheck. That's the part that really changed my life. That's how I've been able to build the investment portfolio to over $300,000 by the age of 27. It all started because engineering gave me the income to invest early, and then I just stayed consistent with it. It's funny because I still think to a degree that college can be a scam. But what you really got to be asking yourself is, what degree are we talking about here? To me, college is an investment, and like any investment you make, the return is going to matter. If I told you that one investment was expected to make you, let's say, 10% a year, and another one was expected to lose money every year, when you talk about college like this, just people don't see it this way. People just go, la, 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 I'm going to pick whatever major I want in college and take on all this debt. You are going to be climbing a mountain for a long time if you do that. Engineering has consistently been one of the highest paying bachelor's degrees you can earn, depending on your discipline. It is not uncommon to graduate making somewhere around $75,000 to $90,000 a year. And in some fields like electrical or chemical engineering, you can even crack six figures right out of school. Electrical, chemical, computer engineering, mechanical, civil, these are all strong starting salaries well above the average college graduate. Compare that to a lot of other majors where graduates may start in the $40,000 to $60,000 range, while simultaneously carrying more than six figs of student loan debt. And it's pretty easy to see why engineers tend to come out ahead financially. If someone told me right now that they borrowed $30,000 or $40,000 to earn a degree that's going to make them 80 or 90 or $100,000 every year right out of school, I don't automatically think that's a bad decision. In fact, that's going to be a fantastic investment if you're responsible with the way you pay off your debt and how you live your lifestyle in your 20s. Now, if somebody else came up to me and they said, "Oh, I'm borrowing $150,000 for a degree that historically doesn't produce that level of income," that's where I'd really start asking the questions. The numbers scare you when you face them head on. And if you take on so much debt and you don't get a high paying job out of college, it should scare you because college is not something that you should just go into not thinking it's an investment. I am a huge believer in keeping the cost of your education as low as you reasonably can. Go to an in state school if that makes sense. Apply for scholarships. Work internships during the summers. Graduate with as little debt as possible because every dollar that you don't have to send to the government or some student loan company is another dollar that you could put towards buying investments in your 20s, which is the most powerful decade that you have for investing. I still to this day get so frustrated when I have to pay my student loans. It is just a pain in my butt, man. So let me be the shining example. I took out $30,000 of loans. I wish I would have taken out less, but matter of the fact is, I landed a high paying job out of school because I chose engineering, and it is not affecting me as much as, let's say, if I chose a not high paying degree. And now I'm kind of yapping a lot, but before we wrap up this video, I want to touch on something that's been on just about everyone's mind lately, and that is AI. No, I'm not talking about the Allen Iverson step over, but artificial intelligence. It seems like every time you open your phone, there's another headline saying that AI is going to replace your job and automate your career. But if anything, I think all these headlines actually prove why engineering is such a valuable career moving forward. Engineering has always been about solving problems. It's about taking a situation where there is not an obvious answer and figuring out the best path forward. AI can definitely help with parts of that process. I mean, I use AI a ton with my job. But like somebody still has to understand the system, and it can't be AI doing that, at least for the energy industry, which I work in. Somebody still has to make the decisions about how to implement projects safely. Somebody still has to interact with people about the projects, make decisions with contractors building your projects in the field. I think engineering is in a good spot because it's a mixture of utilizing this technology to solve real world problems, but also getting to work in the field, or at least that's been my experience with it. I see it all the time at my own job. We work on projects worth millions of dollars inside of an oil refinery. There are design reviews, field walkdowns, construction planning, troubleshooting, and constantly making judgment calls based on experience. That's not something you can completely hand over to a computer. If anything, I think AI is just going to make good engineers even more productive. At least for me, I use AI a ton for emails, for setting up meetings, meeting agendas. The engineers, in my opinion, who learn how to use these new tools are going to be able to solve problems faster and create even more value than they do today. And the people that don't adapt to it are going to get left behind. And especially if you are good at working with people and having above average people skills, you're really going to separate yourself from the pack in the coming years and be a high performer. So when people ask me if I still think engineering is worth it in 2026 and beyond, my answer is absolutely. Maybe even more than it was 10 years ago. The world is becoming more dependent on technology every single day, and none of that happens without engineers. If you're in the middle of an engineering degree right now and you're wondering if all those late nights, difficult exams, and moments of self doubt are actually going to pay off, keep going, brother. I know it doesn't always feel like it in the moment, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And that's all I have for this video. As always, I appreciate every single one of you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd also really appreciate it if you left a like because it helps push this video out to more people and more future engineers. And if you're interested in investing, personal finance, engineering, and documenting the journey to financial freedom, consider subscribing because we've got a lot more videos coming. Thanks again for watching. Have an awesome 4th of July weekend, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.